The limousine arrived at the palace gates just after dawn. No sirens. No photographers. Just polished steel and tinted glass gliding across centuries-old cobblestone. Inside sat a man worth $37 billion. My name is Harriet Sinclair. I'm not part of this story. I'm only the one telling it. His name was Vincent Ashford. Tech magnate. Philanthropist. A face that appeared on magazine covers between profiles of presidents and poets. He had built an empire from algorithms and ambition. His company didn't just dominate markets, it created them. When Vincent spoke at economic summits, finance ministers took notes. He was 52 years old and had never been married. The princess was 31. Her name was Elise, third in line to the throne, educated at Cambridge, fluent in 5 languages. She ran a foundation for displaced children. The press called her the People's Princess, though she hated the comparison. They had met at a climate conference in Geneva. 6 months later, Vincent requested a private audience with the king. The palace issued a statement 3 weeks after that meeting. It was brief, formal, and it changed everything. His Majesty is pleased to announce the engagement of Her Royal Highness Princess Elise to Mr. Vincent Ashford. The wedding will take place in the spring. The world erupted. Financial markets surged. Think pieces flooded every major outlet. A billionaire marrying into European royalty. It was a union that blurred the lines between old power and new. Vincent's company stock jumped 14% in a single day. The palace prepared for a spectacle. But protocol demanded something else first. Every person entering the royal family through marriage, appointment, or service underwent what was politely called heritage verification. In truth, it was a background investigation. Not by police. Not by intelligence agencies. By the Office of the Royal Household. A small, discreet division that had existed for over 200 years. They worked in silence. They reported to no one but the king. Their job was to protect the crown from scandal, liability, and risk. And they were very, very thorough. The lead investigator was a woman named Catherine Hale. 58. Gray hair pulled into a tight bun. Reading glasses on a chain. She had worked in the office for 31 years and had vetted everyone from ambassadors to stable hands. He did not like surprises. Vincent Ashford's file arrived on her desk in a leather portfolio. At first glance it was pristine. Oxford education. Patents in artificial intelligence. Board memberships at 3 major charities. No criminal record. No bankruptcies. No public controversies. His financial disclosures were clean. His medical history unremarkable. His taxes meticulously filed. Catherine had seen cleaner files rejected for far less. But something about this one bothered her. It was too clean. She sat in her office on the 3rd floor of the East Wing, rain tapping against leaded glass windows. She opened her laptop and began where she always did. Cross-referencing. Birth records. University transcripts. Employment history. She compared dates, locations, witnesses. Everything matched. Then she went deeper. She requested archived court records from the jurisdictions where Vincent had lived. London, California, Singapore. Most came back empty. But one didn't. It was a single line in a civil registry from Los Angeles County. A case number. Filed 23 years ago. Then sealed by court order. No details. No parties listed. Just a reference number and a date. Catherine stared at it. Sealed records weren't uncommon. Divorce settlements, custody disputes, plea agreements. They could all be sealed for legitimate reasons. But this one had been sealed permanently. That required either a judge's extraordinary discretion or a lot of money. She made a phone call. It took 2 days to reach the right clerk. Another 3 to get the file request processed. When the envelope arrived, it was thin. Inside were 6 pages. The first was a death certificate. Name Laura Kirsch. Age 24. Cause of death, accidental fall from height. Location, Santa Monica, California. The second page was a police report summary. The third was a settlement agreement between the deceased's family and a private trust. The fourth was a witness statement. The fifth was a court order sealing the entire case file. And the sixth was a photograph. Black and white. Grainy. Taken from a security camera. It showed 2 people on a balcony at night. One was a young woman in a summer dress. The other was a man in a suit. His face was turned slightly away from the camera. But Catherine recognized the jawline. Posture. The watch on his wrist. She had seen that watch in a dozen magazine profiles. Vincent Ashford had been 29 years old when Laura Kirsch died. Catherine sat very still. She read the police report again. Laura Kirsch had been an associate at a venture capital firm where Vincent was a junior partner. They had attended a private party at a cliffside home in Malibu. Witnesses said they had been arguing. At 11:47 p.m. someone screamed. Laura's body was found on the rocks below the balcony. The initial investigation lasted 4 days. Then it closed. Accidental death. No charges filed. 2 months later, Laura's parents received a settlement from an offshore trust. The amount was redacted. The case was sealed. The trust was dissolved. And Vincent Ashford left California. Catherine picked up her phone. She didn't call the king. Not yet. She called an old friend in the Los Angeles District Attorney's office. "I need you to tell me about a case," she said. "Off the record." There was a pause. "How off?" "Completely." Another pause. "Send me the file number." Catherine did. 15 minutes later her phone rang. "Catherine," the voice said quietly. "Where did you get this? Just tell me." That case was buried for a reason. The lead detective wanted to pursue charges. He had a witness, a bartender who said he saw Ashford grab the victim's arm. Said it looked like a fight. Why wasn't he charged? Because the witness recanted. Then disappeared. Then the detective was reassigned. And then the whole thing went away. Catherine closed her eyes. Who made it go away? Someone with enough money to make sure no one ever asked that question again. She hung up. Her hands were shaking. She opened the photograph again and stared at the man on the balcony. The man who was about to marry into the royal family. The man whose past had been erased with precision and wealth. Catherine had spent 3 decades protecting the crown. She knew what power looked like, and she knew what it could hide. She placed the file in her briefcase, locked it, and walked down the long hallway toward the king's private study. Outside the rain had stopped. The palace bells rang twice. And somewhere in London, Vincent Ashford was choosing flowers for the wedding. The king's study smelled of old leather and tobacco. Catherine placed the file on his desk without a word. King Edward was 67. Silver hair. Deep lines around his eyes. He had reigned for 22 years and buried 2 wives. He didn't open the file immediately. "How certain are you?" he asked. "Certain enough to bring it to you." He opened it. His face didn't change as he read. But his jaw tightened. When he reached the photograph he stopped. "This was sealed," he said quietly. "Yes. And you unsealed it." "I did my job, Your Majesty." The king closed the file. He stood and walked to the window overlooking the gardens. "My daughter loves him," he said. Catherine said nothing. "She's happy. For the first time in years she's happy." "I understand." "Do you?" He turned. "Do you understand what this will do to her? To the family? To the country?" Catherine met his eyes. "I understand what marrying him will do if this ever surfaces." The king was silent for a long moment. "What do we know for certain?" "A woman died. Ashford was there. The case was buried with money. That's not speculation, that's fact. But no charges. No conviction. Because someone made sure there wouldn't be." The king sat down heavily. "I need options, Catherine. You have 3. Cancel the engagement and tell Elise the truth. Cancel it and say nothing. Or proceed and hope this never comes out. Those aren't options. Those are disasters." Catherine leaned forward. "There's a 4th, she said quietly. "Confront him." The king looked at her. "Privately. No lawyers. No press. Just you and him. See what he says. See if he lies. And if he admits it, then you'll know who he really is." The king stared at the file. "Arrange it," he said. Vincent arrived at the palace that evening. He thought it was a dinner. A final meeting before the wedding announcements went to print. Instead he was led to a private sitting room. Just him and the king. Edward didn't offer wine. He placed the file on the table between them. Vincent looked down. His expression didn't change. But his hand resting on the arm of the chair, curled into a fist. "I assume you know what this is," the king said. Vincent was quiet for 3 long seconds. Then he nodded. I do. Tell me what happened. Vincent exhaled slowly. Laura and I were involved. Briefly. She wanted more. I didn't. That night she confronted me at the party. We argued. She'd been drinking. I tried to calm her down, but she was furious. She went out onto the balcony. I followed. He paused. She slipped. You were there when she fell. Yes. And you didn't call for help. Vincent's voice hardened. I did. Immediately. But it was too late. She was gone before anyone reached her. The king leaned forward. Then why seal the case? Why pay off her family? Why erase the witness? Vincent's eyes went cold. Because I was 29 years old with everything to lose. The press would have destroyed me. It didn't matter that it was an accident. Guilt by proximity is all they needed. So you bought your innocence. I bought my future. Silence. The king studied him. Do you regret it? Vincent didn't hesitate. Every day. Her death. Or covering it up. Both. The king stood. My daughter deserves the truth. Vincent rose as well. If you tell her, you'll destroy her. Not because of what I did, but because of what you'll take from her. Their eyes locked. Is that a threat? No, your majesty. It's a fact. Elise loves me. And I love her. What happened 23 years ago doesn't change that. The king's voice dropped to a whisper. It changes everything. Vincent picked up his coat. Then you have a choice to make. He walked to the door. Stopped. Turn back. I'm not a perfect man. But I will spend the rest of my life making your daughter happy. That's a promise I can keep. He left. The king stood alone in the empty room. On the table, the photograph stared back at him. A young woman in a summer dress. A man who had built an empire on her grave. And somewhere in the palace, Princess Elise was choosing her wedding dress. The king didn't sleep that night. He sat in his study until dawn, staring at the file. At 6 a.m. he made his decision. He called for Catherine. I'm telling Elise, he said. Catherine nodded slowly. When? This morning. Princess Elise was in the garden when her father found her. She was sketching in a leather journal, sunlight catching her hair. She smiled when she saw him. That smile broke his heart. We need to talk, he said. Her smile faded. They walked to a private gazebo. The king handed her the file. Before you read this, he said quietly, I want you to know, I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to protect you. Elise opened it. Her face went pale. She read every page twice. When she reached the photograph, her hand trembled. Does Vincent know you have this? She whispered. I confronted him last night. And? He admitted he was there. Said it was an accident. That he covered it up to protect his career. Elise closed the file. She stood and walked to the edge of the gazebo, arms wrapped around herself. Do you believe him? She asked. The king hesitated. I don't know. She turned. But you think I should cancel the wedding? I think you deserve to know the truth before you marry him. Elise's eyes filled with tears. The truth? The truth is that I'm 31 years old and I've never been allowed to choose anything. Not my education. Not my work. Not where I live or who I see or what I say in public. Elise. Vincent is the first person who's ever made me feel like I'm more than a symbol. And now you want to take that away because of something that happened before I even met him. The king's voice hardened. A woman died. An accident happened. 23 years ago. And yes, he made a mistake trying to hide it. But that doesn't make him a monster. It makes him a liar. Elise stepped closer. We're all liars, father. This entire family is built on secrets. You know that better than anyone. The words hung in the air. The king looked away. I won't forbid the marriage, he said quietly. But I won't bless it either. If you marry him, you do it knowing what he's capable of hiding. Elise picked up the file. I need to talk to him, she said. Vincent was at his London penthouse when Elise arrived. She didn't call ahead. She walked past his assistant through the marble foyer and into his office. He stood when he saw her face. Your father told you? Yes. She threw the file on his desk. Tell me what really happened. Vincent was quiet for a long moment. Then he told her everything. The argument. The balcony. Laura stepping back, too far, too fast. The sound she made when she fell. The silence after. I panicked, he said. I called for help, but I also called my lawyer. By the time the police arrived, I'd already been told what to say. What not to say. You let them bury it. Yes. You paid off her family. Yes. And the witness? Vincent's jaw tightened. I didn't touch him, but my lawyers did. They gave him money to disappear. I didn't ask questions. Elise's voice broke. Did you push her? Vincent looked her in the eyes. No. Swear it. I swear on everything I have, I didn't push her. But I've lived with her death every day since. And I'll live with it for the rest of my life. Elise sank into a chair. I don't know if I can do this. Vincent knelt in front of her. Then don't. Walk away. I won't fight it. But know this, I love you. And I will never lie to you again. She looked at him. At the man she'd fallen in love with. At the man who'd buried a woman's death to save himself. I need time, she whispered. Take all the time you need. 3 days later, the palace issued a statement. Her Royal Highness Princess Elise and Mr. Vincent Ashford have mutually agreed to postpone their wedding. No further details will be provided at this time. The media went wild. Speculation exploded. But no one knew the truth. 2 weeks after that, Elise called Vincent. I've made my decision, she said. Vincent closed his eyes. Tell me. There was a long pause. I'll marry you, she said quietly. But not in the palace. Not with the cameras and the world watching. Just us. Small. Private. Are you sure? No, she admitted. But I'm choosing to believe you. Don't make me regret it. The wedding happened 4 months later. In a chapel in the countryside. 12 guests. The king attended. He didn't smile. But he walked his daughter down the aisle. And when Vincent placed the ring on Elise's finger, Edward saw something in his daughter's eyes he hadn't seen in years. Hope. Whether it was misplaced or not, only time would tell. But as they left the chapel, Catherine stood in the shadows. She watched Vincent help Elise into the car. And she thought about Laura Kirsch. About a girl who'd fallen from a balcony 23 years ago. About a case that had been buried with money and power. Some secrets Catherine knew never stay buried forever. Biggest weight. The marriage lasted 18 months. To the public they were perfect. Elise and Vincent attended galas. Cut ribbons. Smiled for cameras. Behind closed doors it was different. Elise couldn't forget the file. And Vincent couldn't forgive her for doubting him. The cracks showed slowly. A cancelled dinner. A separate hotel room. Long silences over breakfast. The king watched from a distance. He didn't say, I told you so. He didn't need to. Then on a Tuesday in March, Catherine received an email. No subject line. Just an attachment. She opened it. It was a scanned letter. Handwritten. Dated 3 weeks before Laura Kirsch died. Vincent, I know what you did with the quarterly reports. I know the numbers were falsified. If you don't make this right, I'm going to the board. Don't call me again. Oh. Catherine's blood went cold. She called her contact in Los Angeles. I need you to pull the financial records from Vincent Ashford's firm. 23 years ago. Specifically the quarter before Laura Kirsch died. Catherine, that's... I know what I'm asking. Silence. Give me 2 days. The records showed everything. Vincent had been embezzling. Small amounts at first. Then larger. Laura had discovered it. She'd confronted him. And 3 weeks later she was dead. The case had been sealed not just to hide an accident, but to hide a motive. Catherine sat in her office, hands shaking. She should have dug deeper the first time. She should have known. Now a princess was married to a man who might have committed murder. She picked up the phone. Called the king. Your Majesty, she said quietly. We need to talk. The king summoned Vincent to the palace. This time there was no pretense of politeness. Edward placed the letter on the table. Explain this. Vincent read it. His face drained of color. Where did you get that? It doesn't matter. What matters is that you lied. Laura didn't die because of an argument about a relationship. She died because she was about to expose you. Vincent stood abruptly. That's not. Sit. Down. Vincent sat. The king leaned forward. Did you push her? No. Did you kill her? No. She fell. Just like I said. But yes, we were arguing about the money. She was going to destroy me. I begged her not to. And then she stepped back and... His voice broke. She fell. The king's voice was ice. And you let everyone believe it was a lover's quarrel. You buried the financial crime. You buried her threat. You buried everything. Vincent's hands were trembling. I was terrified. If anyone found out about the embezzlement, I'd go to prison. My career would be over. So yes, I made sure no one ever looked that closely. You built an empire on her grave. Vincent looked up, eyes red. I've spent 23 years trying to be better than I was that night. Everything I've built, every dollar I've given away. It's because I know I can never undo what happened. The king stood. You're going to confess. Vincent went pale. What? You're going to go to the authorities. Tell them everything. The embezzlement. The cover-up. All of it. That will destroy me. Yes. And Elise. The king's voice didn't waver. My daughter married a lie. Now she'll have to live with the truth. But I won't let this family harbor a killer, even if the killing was just negligence. Vincent stood slowly. If I confess, I lose everything. You should have thought of that 23 years ago. Vincent stared at him. Then he walked to the door. Stopped. I loved her, he said quietly. Elise. I really did. Not enough to be honest with her. Vincent left without another word. That night, Elise came to her father's study. She'd heard everything. You're forcing him to confess, she said. Yes. And you didn't ask me first. The king turned. Would you have stopped me? Elise was silent. Then she shook her head. No, she whispered. But I would have wanted to say goodbye. Vincent didn't confess. He disappeared. His penthouse was empty. His accounts were frozen by morning. Interpol issued a warrant. But Vincent Ashford was gone. The palace issued a statement. Princess Elise has filed for divorce. The matter is private and no further comment will be made. Elise didn't speak to the press. She didn't speak to anyone. He went back to her foundation. Back to her work. And slowly, quietly, she rebuilt herself. 2 years later, Catherine received another email. From an anonymous account. Inside was a photo. Vincent Ashford. Older. Grayer. Sitting at a cafe in Buenos Aires. Alone. Catherine deleted it. Some men run from their past. Others are chased by it forever. Vincent would be both. And somewhere in a palace in Europe, a princess who'd once believed in love learned to believe in herself instead. That Catherine thought was the only ending that mattered.